Welcome back. As Namibia prepares for its upcoming elections on November 27th, 2024, the Electoral Commission has finalized the nominations today. The session is vital for understanding the electoral landscape and its implications for political parties as well as independent candidates. Joining us now to provide insight is Mr. Peter Shaama, who is the CEO of the Electoral Commission of Namibia. Mr. Shaama, good evening and welcome.
Good evening, Nina. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
Before we get into the process that unfolded today, Mr. Shaama, perhaps you can talk to us about, the key criteria that is set out in terms of candidates that are seeking nomination for the upcoming elections. What is the criteria that is looked at?
No, thank you very much and good evening, viewers. Yeah, first of all, I think it's to understand that the elections are run within the parameters of the Electoral Act number 5 of 2014 is amended. It sets out the requirements, the do's and don'ts. So when it comes to political parties, first of all, for a political party to take part in the elections, it must be registered with the Electoral Commission of Namibia, meeting the set requirements. Just a few of them. One is that a political party must have 3,500 registered voters in a minimum of 7 regions. Political party can have more than that. And then those supporters must be registered as indicated. And then the party must have a constitution and all those. Mm-hmm. That is when it comes to the party. So when it comes to the independent candidates, because the law also makes a provision for any Namibian who is aspiring to contest for the presidential elections to take part in the elections. There are also requirements set that a candidate must be a Namibian, must also must meet specific requirement in adults, must be a Namibian, must be 35 years and above, must be a registered voter, and must have supporters, 500 supporters who are registered voters in every region. In other words, 500 times 14 is 7,000. But of course, when it comes to the independent candidate, you can only know when or closer to the nomination and when the nomination takes place. So, in a nutshell, those are the requirements that I can share for now.
Thank you so much. Going over to today's nomination process, I want us to just touch on that. Give us an overview of what transpired today and of course the significance this process holds in the upcoming elections.
No, thank you very much, Nina. Maybe before we go to what transpired, we must talk to what the law says. So, as you know that we have the electoral calendar, outlines all the critical electoral activities that we need to carry towards or to the build up in the build up to the 27 November 2024. There are specific activities that the commission needs to execute. First of all, you must have a voters register, final voters register, and that final voters register must pave the way for the nomination. That's why the commission has set in its electoral calendar the nomination period for the candidates and political parties to submit the nomination. And that period, as we're all aware, commenced from the 26th September to the 16th October, which is today. And that is the period of which all the candidates and political parties were supposed to submit their nominations. So what happened today now is that on the last day of the nomination, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission of Namibia is required by law to convene a public sitting. That's why you see it was live, it should be public, and to consider those nominations. And they are in 2 or 3 categories. One is the nominations for the independent candidates who are aspiring to conduct the presidential elections. And 2 is political parties that are submitting nomination to also conduct the presidential elections as a candidate, and also the political parties that submit the list of the member of parliament. So, and then that is what the commission was seized with today to consider those nominations. And then first of all is to confirm the nomination. As I indicated, the period was open to confirm those political parties and candidates that have submitted the nomination. That is one. And 2 is to request whether there is still a nomination to be done. Because remember, the law says the nomination, a person or a political party can still nominate until 11 o'clock. So you cannot close that window until 11 o'clock.
Right.
So that is what transpired today.
I understand that of the independent candidates that were on the list, 3 of them, they were rejected. So speak to us about why that happened and what challenges these independent candidates might have faced for this to transpire. Explain to us what happened.
Yeah, maybe before we go to the word rejection, let me put it this way. You see, when you are contesting for any election, you must meet set requirements in the law. Number 1, for example, when it comes to the independent candidates, you must meet those numbers that I have indicated, yes. 500 per region.
Right.
You must have, you must deposit 10,000 Namibian dollars in state account. It should also accompany your application, and that the list of those supporters must be registered voters. What happens is that as a commission, we have to verify that those are indeed registered voters. Number 1. And number 2, we have also to verify that you meet the requirements in terms of the number as far as the regions are concerned.
Right.
Those are some of the considerations that were taken into account. It's not per se fully rejected. The law makes a provision to say, if a candidate or a person or a party submits the nomination and it's in a shortfall of the requirement, the law makes a provision for that particular candidate or particular party to rectify any error observed.
Are you able to tell us which part of the criteria the independent candidates did not meet?
Those criteria has to do with the relationship between the Electoral Commission of Namibia and independent candidates. And they were spelled out in the letters submitted to them. Yes, for them to go and rectify.
The process has been extended until tomorrow. Talk to us about that.
Now, you see, I'm now coming to the last purpose of this public sitting. Once you confirm and there are no further submissions and all met requirements, now the commission has to go and declare those nominations duly nominated. or submission duly nominated. So if none, then the commission is required to extend the public sitting not later than a day. That's why this public sitting was extended until tomorrow, the same time, so that those candidates are afforded the opportunity to rectify as part of democracy and as provided for in the Electoral Act.
Mr. Shaama, are there any legal implications that comes with extending this public seating?
The implication is only that you must meet the deadline. That's all. That's what it means. Because the law is specific. The commission must extend not later than a day. That's what it is.
So tomorrow, 11 o'clock is the deadline.
That's the deadline, and that is in the purview of the commission. Yes.
Any final remarks from you this evening, sir?
What I can say is that I want us to understand the significance of nomination. What does it mean? Nomination means you are now concluding the process that will lead you to the printing of ballot papers. You can only do that once you conclude the nomination. Neither before nor otherwise. So it means once the nomination process is concluded, the commission will now proceed, because now you know who are the political parties, who are the candidates that are participating in the 2024 November elections. So now the commission will proceed to go ahead with the printing of the ballot papers, because we have the details. That's the next stage in our processes. Once the ballot paper is printed, it's now the issue. There are a lot of activities, and we urge our political parties and our stakeholders to say we continue in the spirit of engaging as we've been doing, so that we educate our voters at our respective stages or levels to make sure that all registered voters understand the significance of voting.
Yeah. Mr. Shaama, we appreciate your time with us here this evening. We'll be speaking to you hopefully soon in the future. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
That was Mr. Peter Shaama, the CEO of the Electoral Commission of Namibia, speaking to us there. Let's take a brief